So this webinar will be focused on requirement analysis in models and the benefits you can get and how Modelio empowers your requirements through this feature. It will give you a first quick presentation on Modelio. I will give you this presentation on Modelio requirement analysis, and then we will show you a demo to illustrate that with Modelio. Okay, so a few words about Modelio and Modelio Soft. So Modelio Soft is model-driven since 1990. At the beginning, the tool was called Object-Hearing, and it was a very innovative tool which has evolved during 24 years. And in 2009, the Modelio tool has been released to succeed to the Object-Hearing tool. Modelio is a tool that is supporting standards through our participation to a standardization organization. And Modelio has currently more than 50,000 users and is used on more than 500 sites. Modelio Soft is a subsidiary of Softeam Kazakhstan, which is quite a large company with more than 800 employees and 80 million euros turnover. And this company is doing consultancy and has a trust of large companies. Let's see the exclusive features of Modelio on the market. One very important feature of Modelio is a technique that we call worldwide modeling. That is, models can be federated around the world and connected through networks such as the web, so that different organizations and people can interconnect the models throughout the world without any specific hardware installation or centralized repository. So this is a unique feature on the market. One other feature is the fact that Modelio gathers in one single repository all modeling standards, that is, for example, UML, BPMN, extensions for TOGAF or MODAF, TODAF, or also SysML, and this helps to have a broad modeling scope and to ensure a global consistency and traceability on a large domain modeling scope. One important feature is that requirement analysis is built into the model, and so that Modelio supports requirements modeling within the model, can be coupled to external requirement analysis tool, and it offers therefore a very wide requirement to model traceability and impact analysis feature. Modelio has also an open source distribution on modelio.org, whereas the commercial distribution is on modeliosoft.com. This has the benefits of having a vibrant community which participates to the Modelio core. Modelio users are not locked in Modelio, and you can have ecosystems between people who are using the commercial distribution and people who are not using it, such as independent consultants or students or people like that. Modelio has packaged solution for three large different domains. One is software development with code generation feature, for example, reverse engineering and so on. One other is system architecture for complex systems such as a plane, an airplane traffic management system, and other technical large system. And one other large domain that is targeted by Modelio is business architecture with domains such as BPM or enterprise architecture. So one very important feature of Modelio is that it helps maximizing the scope of models. And because it's obvious that the largest the modeling scope, the most benefits you can get from models. And the scope can be decomposed in three directions. One is domains modeling coverage, and such as I said before, business architecture or technical architecture or software development, and many others. And Modelio has on the shelf a wide variety of modules, and by plugging those modules on Modelio, Modelio becomes dedicated to certain kinds of usage, such as database modeling or enterprise architecture or MODAF dedicated, or code generation or anything like that. And people can also develop bespoke modules to have extension dedicated to their context. So this is the domain modeling coverage area. Another important area is coverage of standards and interoperability. So covering standards such as UML, BPMN, SysML, and many more helps to have a wide variety of people that understand the model, and helps also to cooperate with other tools. And one other direction is the fact that the scope of models within Modelio can be very broad throughout the world. That is, people can share models through the web, connect models together through the web, and so give an access to all kinds of participants and shareholders throughout the world to models. So let's come to the subject of requirement analysis. And I'm sure, because you are here, that you all know that requirement analysis is a very important aspect that is at the core of nearly all system and software engineering practices. For example, on standards, methodologies, and quality, CMMI puts a strong emphasis on requirement analysis. The TOGAF Enterprise Architecture Framework puts requirements at the core of the TOGAF lifecycle. SysML integrates requirements in its modeling capacities as a standard, and this is true for many other standards. As another example, the agile practices for software development, such as Scrum or others, have the concept of product backlogs, which is a kind of requirement support. And one interesting aspect of models is that modeling techniques extend and complement requirement analysis. You can further describe requirements through models. Typically, you can use use cases, processes, domain entities. You can also use state machines and so on to extend and document your requirements. Another aspect is impact analysis. Having requirements coupled with models provides a strong way to support traceability and impact analysis on a very broad scope, and this enables requirement-driven engineering. So you can measure the design coverage starting from requirements with the models. You can also analyze the impacts of changes, and you can also analyze the test coverage compared to the requirements. We'll see an example of this. Let's see a very small example, which is a SysML example. So SysML is a standard for complex systems, such as an airplane, and it's an extension of UML. So here we see two requirements, accelerations and power. so of a system. And if you need that your maybe the system is a vehicle, if you need a strong acceleration for the vehicle, you will have a requirement to have a strong power. So the power requirement derives from the acceleration. So there is a link between those requirements. And there is also links between requirements and the rest of the model. For example, here we have two use cases. One use case is accelerate. Accelerate is a use case that refines the acceleration requirement. And we have a use case that is used to model test cases. And here we have a link verified between the test case and the requirement. We have also elements of the system. Here we have a component, which is a component of the realized system, and we express that this component satisfies the power requirement. So you see through this small example that we have all kinds of links and traceability between the model and the requirements. So this helps to have a requirement-driven development of your system. Let's see here an example of Modelio with its link editor capacity. So this is a picture from Modelio. And here we have selected a requirement called storage requirement here. Here it is. So this is a requirement, and Modelio summarizes the dependencies that you have from this requirement. So you have all kinds of dependencies. For example, here we have a component that realizes the requirement, and we have here tests that trace to the component. So here you can check all the tests that are related to the storage requirement. And for example, if you change that requirement, you will see here that you will have to run the tests that are traced from the requirement. So you can answer questions such as how well do tests cover requirements, or what is the impact of given requirement changes in terms of test. So this is an example of a feature that you can get from Modelio. So Modelio has a solution called Modelio Soft Analyst solution that supports requirements analysis within Modelio. So you have an integrated support of requirement definition within the modeling tool. So that, as you can see in this picture here we see the link editor, we see a graphical edition of a requirement with a spreadsheet edition of them, and we see here that we combine use cases, components, or whatever model element with requirements if we want. And now on the most recent version of Modelio, we have dedicated forms to capture requirements. And what Modelio Analyst solution does is that it couples, it integrates, it provides imports and exports with, for example, Microsoft Word. That is, you take any document and you can extract requirements from this document and put them into Modelio, or generate documents from Modelio. There is also an import-export with XML, so that you can do the same thing and maintain the consistency between both tools. And as we have seen, we have the traceability and impact analysis support, and we have documentation generation, and also property customization, so that you can very quickly define your own approach for requirement analysis. So Modelio has many features. One of them is document generation. to provide a very high quality documents, such as those presented in examples here. Those documents can be as a PDF document, Word document, or HTML document. If you use Microsoft Word, Modelio supports round trips. That is, you can change within the Word document, and Modelio can update the model from the document. So the principle is that you have on the shelf template or define your own document templates to get the document that you want exactly from the model. And regarding requirements, documentation is a key aspect. So one other aspect of Modelio, I already mentioned it, is the support of Federated repository through the worldwide modeling technology. And we will see here a small example to see what we can get. Just imagine a very large company, and this company has requirements defined at the company level. So we have security requirements, risk requirements, and business architecture requirements. And then we are now at the project level, and we start to define requirements at the project level with a specific team. So what we see here is called model fragments, and those model fragments are kind of model repositories that can be connected through the network between each other. So the team responsible for requirement analysis for the project is developing the project requirements in a model fragment, and that model fragment will reuse the existing requirements defined at the enterprise level. Then we have a team dedicated to the analysis and realization of the project. So that team will build a business analysis model fragment, which will be based on the business architecture defined at the enterprise level and on the requirements that has been defined by the requirements team. And then this team will do another fragment, the design fragment, which will be based on those two fragments. And then we'll have another team who will realize the tests of the project. And that team will define a specific fragment for tests. And these fragments will be based on requirements and the design of the application. So we will see here that you can organize models and work through different teams at different levels, whatever size the company is and whatever distribution the team has. So this is what we call the federated repositories for federated enterprise or even enterprise ecosystems. So this is all I have to say as a short presentation. Now you will see the demo. If you want more information, download the tool, white papers, examples or videos. You can go to modeliosoft.com. If you want to contact us, have any question, you can join us at sales@modeliosoft.com.